Alright, this is part 2. Now we're going to need to make a rounded end for our name tag lanyard. I'm going to go ahead and click my home view. If you got zoomed in a little bit, click your house to reset that view. To make the rounded part, we actually have to combine shapes. So we have a rectangle from our previous step, and then we're going to use a cylinder for the next step. So again, I'm just going to click to pick it up, bring it out. Doesn't really matter where I place it. I'm not going to stick it on top just to make it easier. And then I will go ahead and click it to drop it. I'm going to zoom in a little bit using my 2 fingers on my touchpad or the plus sign, however you want to do that. We don't need to change too many measurements. The corner can actually stay exactly the same. That's 20 by 20 by default. The height I do want to change though, so I'm going to hover over it, make sure that it shows me that this is my height tool. I'll click that and change this to 3 as well. The height of my rectangle was 3, so we're going to make the height of the cylinder 3 as well. So I'll press enter. And then now I have 2 shapes here. I've got my rectangle and my circle. And I'm going to click in the middle again where there's nothing there and just kind of drag it up so it's somewhere close to the beginning of this. So at this point, I want to combine these shapes to make one solid shape. You can see if I just click and drag, they do keep their colors individually. It gets kind of interesting looking when you do that. I'm going to go ahead and drag this back off here. So at this step, there's 2 things you can do. You can draw a box. So I'm going to come up and just click way away from it and draw a box that touches my rectangle and my circle. And now it selects both of these shapes. So at this point, because we only have 2 shapes, I'm going to go ahead and click away from this. You can also use Control or Command A because we only have the 2 shapes and it will select both of those. And now I'm going to come up here and actually use my line up tool. So you can see a line also can be kicked on by pressing the L on your keyboard. Either way is completely fine. I'm going to go ahead and click it. And then now it changes the way my selection looks. So you can see I have all these dots on the corners, and then it tries to give me an idea if I clicked it of what would happen. So if I click this one, it lines my shapes up in the middle, or the right side, or the left side. So depending on which boxes you click, it can make your shape look very, very different. I'm going to go ahead and click undo here real quick. So I'm going to go back to my lineup tool. I do want them to be lined up in the middle, so I'm going to use the middle left, and then I do want them to be lined up at the bottom left as well. So those are both there. Depending on where your shape started from, if your shape looked like this and they were not lined up and you press the line tool, then you would have to make sure you clicked left. It would shift things over, and then middle left, shift things over as well. For some reason, if they were not the same height or not lined up correctly as far as being on the z-axis, these dots over here would be a different color. But because our circle is 3 millimeters tall and our rectangle is 2, and they're both flat on the work plane, those aren't dark for us to click on. So I have these 2 shapes selected, and you can see my circle fits perfectly on the end of my rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and just click my mouse above it to click away from it. No shapes are selected now, and if you need to click up there a couple times, that's fine. And then I'm going to nudge my rectangle over 10. So, and there's a couple of short ways to do this on your keyboard shortcuts. Shift and the right arrow actually is a perfect 10, or you can count over 10 if you want to do that. It really doesn't matter. So I'm going to do shift and right arrow, and it automatically jumps my rectangle over 10. So again, if something messes up, Control A, go find your lineup tool, bottom left, puts us back to where we were, click away from everything, click your rectangle. You can either count over 10 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that way we know it's moved over 10 millimeters. Or again, you can just press shift and the right arrow key, and it will automatically jump at 10. So either way is completely fine. So I'm going to go ahead and click away, and you can see I have my 2 shapes, my colors. Again, I'm not so much worried about colors because when we combine them, it will actually merge the colors together anyway. So I'm going to do Control Command A. You could draw your box if you want to do that. Either way is fine. And then I'm going to use my group tool, and that's Control G. So you could do either one. And I'm going to go ahead and click that. It takes a few seconds, and now my shape is one rounded rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and click away from this. There's the shape that I'm looking for. If I click back on it and hover over my squares at the corner, my depth is 20, and you can see that my length now is 110 because that's half of my 20 millimeter circle. My height is still 3, and we are ready to start building the rest of our name tag. But this is the most important step as far as getting our basic shape done in the last one. If something is messed up, you can ungroup them, and then you can draw a box once you make your changes, and you can go back ahead and regroup them too. So if things aren't lined up, you can ungroup them, run through those steps again as well.